Welcome back, friends, to EU League. It is time for our match of the day. El Clasico, BDS versus G2. Cannot wait to get this show on the road. And you know what? Through all these years, G2 has changed so much, whilst BDS has practically stayed the same. So, there's a lot to unpack for this matchup. Before we go, I want to remind you that this game is all about who can make it to the Six Major in Charlotte in May. In only, what, 2 weeks now? I'm saying in May. We are in May. But in around 2 weeks, the major is starting, and there's still some tickets that are available. They're being sniped very quickly. There's only a few left. So make sure, see the link down here? Go to R6 Esports. Go check it out. You can go directly and purchase your ticket and make it there, but there's only just a few left. They're almost sold out. So if you want to prep yourself to fly somewhere in the next couple of weeks or, travel, basically you're in the US, so driving 1,000 kilometers or 1,000 miles is kind of something that you do every other day, then this is the my voice died. This is the moment for it. You gotta go if you've never been to an event. It's been over 2 years since the last in-person event in Montréal SI 2020, so you gotta go for it. Anyways, these two are fighting for a spot to be on the stage so people can actually watch them. And let's talk about G2 first.
Well, in 1 hour about-ish, they might have to get those tickets themselves, so you probably should get them before them.
You got a free invite in the past too, so there it is.
Free invites are the best. It was not pity invite at all.
Can't get it here.
It was not a pity invite at all. We deserved it totally. No, however, this G2 is in for a real treat here, or we are in for a real treat with the game.
Yep.
G2 has everything in their own hands right now. They were second place coming into this Playday, and they still stand a chance to I think 1 point is enough for them, right? They have the chance here. Honestly, with what we've seen from these two teams, G2 have played some decent Siege, and I think they've been the better team in this matchup. I personally want them to go because that's the sort of expectations I put on this roster. They have grabbed all these talented players. The product in itself kind of doesn't allow for them to not go because the money invested by G2, the players that they have, the expectations both from the organization, the players, from other players, from their fans, everyone demands them to go. And if they don't, it doesn't matter what they say personally. They can sit there and keep down and say, oh yeah, we're okay with being fifth. No, I don't care what you think. You're going to that event, or I see your project at this stage not doing as good as I wanted it to or needed it to.
Well, what about BDS on the other side, Jack?
I mean, they're not far off being in the completely same boat as G2 in that they're not at the place that they want to be at. They've got a chance to be in top 4. Again, BDS, so G2 need a point to confirm top 4. BDS would need 2. BDS win in overtime. Both teams would confirm top 4. And I think BDS haven't been themselves. They've been a fragment of themselves, since Invitational. They've started right in that ship, but it's taken them a few play days to get to it.
So what about G2 win in overtime against BDS? Is it then LFO that makes it through?
So if BDS win in overtime against G2, it would be BDS and G2 through, I believe.
And Rogue fighting for
and then it depends Rogue fighting.
And then it would be Rogue or LFO, depending on whether Rogue win, yeah.
Oh boy. There's so much over the next couple of games that we have to unpack. There's only such little time before we get into game. What will our map be then? 9 map pool, 8 are out, 1 is left. And we're going to go to Clubhouse. A classic for this one for a Clasico. Cafe Dostoevsky taken out by G2. They start on attack as BDS have picked defense. Jack?
So you asked me why I predicted BDS, because I was the only one who predicted BDS. I thought it was because Clubhouse was going to be the map. Clubhouse is the map. Now, if there's a map that I could take G2 to, because G2, we've seen them how exotic they can get, how much on-the-fly thinking they can get, I would want G2 in set roles where they've got to do set things before they can go off and do their own thing. And Clubhouse for BDS is that perfect map because they've got to play 2 hard breaches. They've got a checklist 1, 2, 3 before they can actually execute. And that's why I think BDS will come out on top on this.
You remember last time G2 played Clubhouse?
Heroic. They could barely attack.
Yeah, I was just going to get to that.
Sorry.
Well, that's fine. You take it.
You make your point, Fabian.
No.
Well, keep it short because the game is ready, but yeah.
The more you talk, the less I can. It's just a map that I think fits BDS better. It just simply does. Yeah. G2 wants the freedom to run around. They don't get it on club. It's a coin toss, honestly, but I voted G2.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I want G2 to win, but I'm expecting an overtime.
All right. Thank you very much, Fresh and Fabian. That's G2 versus BDS, our match of the day. And we got Hap and Emmy to take us through it. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milos. What's that chuckling about? We still have that in our audio. Okay.
We still hear them in
Analysts, drama.
The analysts.
We're not about that. We're about our own special breed of drama, which is in-game. And 2 great teams going head-to-head for 1, technically maybe 2 spots at the major.
Yeah, it could be 2. It could be 1. I don't think there's a position where we end up with none confirmed. No, no matter what happens, someone will go.
Someone leaves this game confirmed.
Someone will get 5 tickets, but maybe no one will in the end. Well, maybe both will in the end. Sorry, I just Milos is coming in with a camera. Instantly, I get the pressure on me.
You get nerves?
I get nerves.
You know what our job is, right?
Oh, wait, are we on camera all the time?
Like all the time.
Oh, really?
Like there's a lot of people watching us, mainly for, they're here and they're getting packs, and I'm not sure what is going on, but I'm assuming this is going to be on the timeline because of Bartosz or something. All right, I'll just keep talking and let you do it. BDS versus G2, let me put some perspective. For everybody who's unsure of how this matters, there is technically at the minute 4 teams up in the air for the remaining spots. You've got G2, BDS, LFO who have already played, and Rogue who are yet to play. Rogue currently sitting towards the bottom of it. Now, that can all be locked in here. G2, if they get 1 point, they're confirmed, they're good. They're in, they're locked, they're happy. BDS, if they get 2, same story. So, if we see an OT win that BDS win, both these teams are confirmed.
Yes, that's it. Like, G2 just need a point, BDS needs 2. And that's as simple as it. So, we could see a moment where both of these will be confirmed after this matchup. And that really leaves it only up to Rogue. Are they going to be able to get those 3 points? If they do, will they have the same or better round differential than LFO would? I think both are currently on 5 rounds. So yes, in that case, Rogue, if they win, they would automatically make it to the major. That is what the current stakes are for these next 2 games. But this one at hand is probably the most important one, because we get to lock in 1 or 2 or see which of these teams could potentially still be at the firing line.
I think that's the main thing, is we've had 2 games so far where there's been 2 potential teams and 2, still potential results. Because LFO's isn't truly confirmed yet. This is 100% confirmation.
Yeah.
This is where we get to etch a name in stone alongside Heroic.
Or on the paper for the ticket.
Or on the paper for the ticket, on the visas, get them on a plane and hope they do well in America.
Yeah, we definitely would need that indeed. But as we are going to get through, I actually get a nice little statistic here from our observer stage.
Is that why he told you to check his phone?
Yeah, that's why he indeed said, check your phone. I'm sorry.
Like,
he said, check phone.
Yeah.
Last 6 times, we had G2 versus BDS on Clubhouse. Now, mind you, it is slightly different rosters. 2-7 BDS, 7-4 G2, 4-7 BDS, 7-3 G2, 4-7 BDS, and 5-7 BDS. So overall, BDS have been able to get the better of G2 on this map in the last times they've played.
Very different rosters.
Very different rosters, that's it.
Especially in the case of G2, obviously.
Yes.
BDS, it's...
They stayed the same.
Yeah. Although I guess I don't know how far those figures...
But?
How long does time exist? G2, they're going to see if they can try and do some of the busy work here in their attacks. And as it was cited on the desk, their attacks have been a little bit clever, a little bit fun, a little bit interesting, and they've been trying to push the boat out, because you look at these 5 players and all of them have great capabilities on their attack. Finding that as a rhythm, finding that as momentum. Sure, it's the first sort of split and season for these 5 people to be together with the additions, but at the same time, we know who they are, we know where they've came from, we know what they can do.
Yeah, that's it, right? There's a lot of potential in this lineup on G2's side. And of course, BDS have shown what they are capable of many, many times before. So this truly might be the first matchup of 2 rosters that will become the new big rivalry here in Europe. It's just that both of them currently not really secured yet for a top 4, and we might not see one of these to go to the major in the end. And both these rosters, if you look at the names, you'd say these should be top 4 clearly, without question. It's just not as clear-cut as that in Europe at this stage, at least. Some openings will be made, some preparations to be made by G2 to get rid of some cameras, to provide some angles, to get these grenades inside the motor. And Renshiro just walks away in time, gets rid of any potential electric claw that would be on there, and a hatch will be open.
I mean, I didn't even think that was walk away at time. I think the grenade rolled a little bit further. If that had gone 100th of a second earlier, it would have got his catch. The fuse catches some bits utility.
Electric claw.
Otherwise, nothing else, as he said. The main thing is utility at this point. They're fighting against it. They have the players to try and keep a watch from the opposite side. Virtue's still got a bit of a stack up, but it's Alems that opens things up, finds Citizen. Shaiko suffers on the opposite side, but Alems is just keeping that big double door locked down. Shaiko is doing everything he can to hold off on the opposite side. Doki is not going to try and take the engagement. Doesn't think he can, and with 20 seconds, what they've got to do is see if they can get the site. Alems finds a second, finds Alamau, finds another. Breday's got the swing from dirt. Alems is still bouncing back and forth as a down inside the site itself, but with only a handful of seconds left, it's the drop and they have to use. There's Doki going in big, finds an entrance on the church, finds a triple. Virtue's just got to see if he can stick it. Alems over the top of the box, and he can't quite get it, but it's Virtue that connects over the top.
I'm not quite sure what happened with Doki there. Just stopped firing in the middle of it, but he was able to truly change the outcome of that round there. He comes in from the motorcycle. Was it a quad or was it a triple? I have no clue, but they lock it off in the end. A triple, okay. Well, G2 in a round that seemed lost, able to pull it back, and that is 1 out of 6. 5 more to go.
I mean, it was sudden. It was explosive. Obviously, it was Doki doing some work there, but Virtue hitting the double. The first was the drop from the hatch on the kitchen itself. He then wanted to be the cover for the planter, but the planter had gone down at that point. Piranha's off the board. So then they're going to see if they can try and pick up sticks and get it down themselves. The swing onto Blue was phenomenal. The take there from Doki. And I mean, that's the thing about Doki is long since cited when he's on and when he's in his day, which he hasn't arguably been so much with this roster, he's at his most terrifying.
Now, Shaiko just needed a singular kill to be making it to 100 for the 4th stage in a row. Citizen is currently on 97, so he's soon looking to be joining the 100 club as well, yet another time. But Doki actually flicked onto Blue, and it was Shaiko's head that he took off quite cleanly. So he could have been the 100th kill of Shaiko this stage. Wasn't meant to be, at least not yet. I know I saw some threats going around on the Twitter saying, like, you will not get a single kill against this Shaiko. You will drop that donut. For now, he's still on it, but there's always that worry. Will he indeed stay on that 0 kills? Because it is quite a big name inside of Siege for those of you that are new to our game. He is deadly.
I think his name goes beyond Siege. I think
it does.
If you found your way to watching a Siege Esports stream, I think at this point, you'll have heard the echoed halls of Shaiko. But first round, G2. You bite back off of some tremendous gun work. It's still a growth. It's still club. And as I said on the desk, it's still curiosity on how it's going to respond on your attacks here, because we have sort of faith in the ideas of what your defense is, but it's the questions on when you've got jobs to do, who'll do them and how well.
And some top floor controls being taken here by G2. Want to make sure that there is no roamers above on that top floor, whereas Alamau is opening up some of these barricades, but he seems to be worrying as well of potential roamers around in the bathroom. As he starts to open up towards those main stairs area now. Rafal aware, has a nitro cell, will be thinking about potentially tossing that one up soon, especially if Alamau continues to start hammering down upon the soft flooring above.
Rafal's playing himself in a bit of an aggressive situation here as the walls start to fall. He wanted to see if he could get the catch with the C4, but doesn't quite trust the danger, especially with the Iana revealing the player. Still sort of peppering some shots towards the double, but you can see that G2, they're playing themselves with a little bit more caution this time. Obviously, they did lose the opening 2 bodies, so just players at the end of that corridor with the Lems keeping it locked down from the far side. He's in a slightly different position. He thinks he'll be better used stopping the approach on the hatch because it was a hatch play, and Kaid can cause some more trauma.
Kudalem's aware of these verticals to be appearing, but one comes up right above him, and he somehow trades it out with Elamau. I'm not quite sure what happened there, because it was just the perfect timing for both of those, and that turns it into a 4-on-4. Prana will find a trade.
It's an important trade to make. Obviously, catching Alamau is a big risk, a big play. They get rid of the sledge. There is still the buck if they want to try and do more, but there's also Virtue playing this role of the fuse, and that really means that nobody's going to be able to stop that hatch. You can't even really impact it if they want to dedicate so much utility to it, and that's that joy of this player. The Maestro Cam, not a problem. That gets caught
doesn't get caught. Oh,
It
that's
does.
get caught.
I was gonna say, if it didn't get caught, that's one of those rare times. But Shaiko does catch Doki, finds his revenge. Congratulations, 100 kills. Wants to see if he can get a couple more, but Renshiro gets the connection, 5 seconds. Gonna see if they can try and drop their way into the site. Rafal has locked down on 1, no magic this time. BDS bounce back.
There it is. It's the 100th kill of the stage of Shaiko. That is now 4 stages in a row, as you said. Congratulations. Now we get to see whether or not Citizen is going to be able to find his way into this game, as he only needs 3 as well to make it to 100. He's been able to be picked up quite, well, harmlessly by BDS. Every single time they find him without him doing any, well, trouble or damage, really.
Yeah.
Oh, Elamau is an operator without the G2 card there.
That spells.
Is this the curse?
I mean, I
it's
guess
a repick.
it's a repick.
Is it a repick? Because he swapped it last second in the pick phase, and now it shows
Now it shows Sledge.
from Sledge to Monty. So it's either way, doesn't really matter because it's whatever 5 operators we have here at the end of the day, and at Monty that might indicate a push through the garage. Let's take Rafters. Let's just push them out there while we open up the main breach as well on the CCTV balcony. And just taking this this mezzanines, the rafters on garage, it is such a rough thing to do in some instances. You need to use those grenades. You need to time that right. If there's any ADSs as well, which isn't the case with BDS, you need to waste those first, whilst the player just stays prone behind these little panels. So maybe with the Monty, they're going to be able to quickly dispatch of that player, and with that, remove a lot of pressure from their approach.
Wow, Virtue's going to see if he can try and start the work here, and as we said about Club, it is that map where there are jobs to be done, and how they're shaped and how they can be done is that big question here for G2. It's your defaults, it's your standard approaches, your standard setups, and making sure that you get all the ticks here. Alaman's going to try his Monty Rain up there onto the opposite side. There's a bit of a read and an idea of the players that might be on the rafters. They're just preparing themselves and getting Doki in a position to bite back in case anybody tries to swing onto Virtue here. Alamau, he's in. He's toying with the idea of seeing if he can get a spot, but nobody's holding on for now. There's the angle and the hold of Doki, and there's Virtue just trying to get some artwork done.
And needs to make sure that he has the anchor point on that wall, so really wanted to put up some extra pressure there. Eventually we'll find it, and that means the wall is now soft. It requires some soft breach though to open it up, and if you look at the right hand side, it's nothing like that. Well, there is a soft breach charge on Prana, but you might have wanted to do that before you decided to open up some feet holes here. Either way, there is maybe another way to go at it. Selma toss, for example, and these goo mines are meant to keep the Monty in check here, so Elamau will have a bit of trouble trying to move in.
It's goo mines, it's the Malusi that was on the door, and well, there's Rafal on Virtue's head. Rafal gets that first. It's Shaiko swinging around and finding Citizen, and Alamau is suddenly very alone. He thought he was having a 3-pronged push, but as the only person left, it's suddenly become a knife from a fork. Can he actually make some stabbing motions with it towards the top of the hold here? Rafal, he's waiting for somebody to try and offer some support here to the Monty. The concern is Shaiko. As long as he's down there around that lounge area and that little baby step, there's really not much they can do, but there he is, gone, got rid of, and dropped the shield. A very risky attempt there, trying to get some cover and support. Alamau's juggling the big plate shield, goes for a punch, he was out of range. The cover comes through, but he does get caught. It's a 2 versus 1. Prano slinks his way up the stairs. In the meantime, they got the retake. Here's the reveal of the camera, the knock of the screen. And with 45 seconds, just going to pull that Gooman out and go for a final 2 versus 1 approach.
There is still a Selma available, so he could technically open up right behind the server stack here and provide himself some extra safety. Drone, however, comes in first, see if there's any response to it. Doesn't seem to be the case yet, and instead goes for a soft breach charge. Makes a bit of a, extra opening on that soft wall there. Doesn't have to wait for the Selma to pop and create any awkward vault hole. The issue, however, is that Evil Eye that is still in place, so they know exactly where he is and tries to go for a plant.
Well, they'll be watching that. The C4 underneath doesn't watch it for very long. BDS, they hold on to their second defense. They're able to find themselves the lead. It was still back and forth, but I get a feeling this game's just beginning.
Yeah, I think so as well. And we just said, like I just said, when G2 got the first round, it's 5 rounds left. But in the meantime, for BDS, it is only 5 rounds left as well. If they take a full win here, they are also confirmed. It doesn't just stop at 2 points. 3 points is more than enough as well. And you might keep G2 away from that major, especially with a round differential. Like, that is what comes into play at the end of the day again. Say BDS wins this 7-1. G2 are basically done as well. There's a lot that could go wrong here for G2 if they do not win. So they really need to start getting these rounds in and at least get to 6.
Well, it's one of those games where you're just going to see if they can just try and put a bit of distance here in their attack. G2, once again, they're still sort of formulating, still pulling themselves together. Citizen hasn't quite been able to get a bite into this game, but then again, Alamau has really Virtue. Doki's had a couple of bigger moments here. And obviously Prano's playing that sort of support backline role of trying to get the kit down, but even then they're struggling to get their way into sight in an orderly time. The first round, the round that they took, was because of the big work, the triple kill that came on the far side. They're struggling to even really start to broach the approach.
That is a drone taken out. That is unfortunate. If there was a head to come through, that would have been a clean kill. Lems has been spotted, but he rotates out. And G2, you know, they know there's a roamer now, but they do not have the information on where he's gone. He could have gone up, he could have gone down. Drones being set up in oil pit, however, are going to be looking at one of those ways back in.
Doki's hoping that somebody goes for a bit of a venture here, but they're going to cut themselves off and try and isolate any of the rotation that come through. You want to get control of this construction side, the ping of the mirror window, and as you said, the impact stops that doubling down, turning into a full rotation. It's just an angle. Shaco's still going to hold it very aggressively. He has the stretch and extension of Rafal, who's just slowly making his way back around the mirror window on that side, means that they have that safety. And with the grenades played underneath, they'll get the reveal that nobody's there, and, well, they're still a bit concerned. The Lems, he was last spotted on the loose, but he's otherwise ripped and rawn his way elsewhere.
Only 5 drones left on the side of G2 here, and they really haven't cleared out that much. And, of course, there is still the potential of a roam because there was someone down below. But I think they need to be more worried about Rafal being right around the corner here on the cash side of things. Could be really spelling some big trouble here for the side of G2 if they do not know about his location. They do drone him out. The Selmas are coming through, though, so they will force him back towards the site.
Wow, the wall steadily gets open there. They've got control of it, but as he said, huge cost of intel, huge cost of utility, and a fair bit of a blow to the time as well. They haven't really been able to get the tail of a BDS player who's just sort of kept themselves at arm's length. They made sure they made a presence known, and we saw Lems make a presence well early into the round, and here he's trying to strike back a little bit later. That hole above him, if that turns into something he can strike through a grenade that was otherwise played in place before, it could be big, but the drones trying to keep a keen eye. They have the watch on oil. They have the watch on the bottom of the stairs as well. Doki still aware that there's a player, but 50 seconds, and they really need something else to happen onto the site.
The thing is, for how long is it going to be watching that, right? Because at some point they do need to go in. At some point, all guns need to go blazing, and that might be the moment when Shaco manages to strike, finds Doki, and now he's going to be on dedicated flank watch there. So maybe Lems is not allowed to sneak back up again, but he's not really playing around there now. He's playing around the bar. Might want to toss up a C4 on that hatch if they know they're coming from that direction.
I mean, that's entirely it. They have the hatch. Citizens down, sort of trying to cause some trouble inside kitchen, but 20 seconds, and you've got to try and find that diffuser closer. As I said before, they haven't really been able to broach the site itself. A spray from Shaiko just tucked into a second corner. Twice in a row, he's played that. Alamau finally finds one back, but it's Renshiro to instantly balance it. Citizen, he gets an opener. He's looking for any more. Not handed to him, and BDS, they're playing this very well.
They definitely are indeed. It's 1-3. Citizen only just finding his first kill. Not really getting into this game just yet, but there's plenty of time for him to wake up. Well, I say plenty, but, you know, slowly these rounds are starting to slip away, and that's a tactical timeout will be called. G2 deciding it's time to talk. They need to get everything straight. They have just played every single site that BDS is still going to be able to play throughout this game on defense. Maybe with the exception of Bar, if they want to throw a curveball there. But they think it's a good idea, and I agree with them, to quickly have a talk about what went wrong during these attacks. Let's see if there's anything they can do to directly improve on it and find 2 more rounds.
Well, it's not even that. It's 2 things. 2 things is what I think is going wrong. The first, as you pointed out, is intel. The drone game, they're spending a lot and really getting a little back. You look at the way Shaiko played that before, they're taking out at least 2, maybe 3 drones inside construction.
Yeah.
Yet, even with that work done, Shaiko is still able to creep his way back in and get some control and entirely lock that off. We've seen it on the previous rounds as well. They're really losing a handle on where the players are. The other thing, and the other sort of, I guess, problem is the objective itself. Is usually on their attacks, they're still quite creative, but we've seen them drive the pressure onto the objectives. Obviously, Prono was always highlighted as being a very good objective player, and being a sort of team focus here, they've barely been able to scratch the site surface outside of the opening rounds, where it was a scrappy fight, but even then it wasn't, you know, if it was play on the objective, we saw Virtue had to pull off the objective to go for the fight to turn it into the
I mean, it was a 2v4 at the end there, so it wasn't really an objective play. It was just that they were inside and were able to get all the gunfights to go their way, right? So that is how they won the one round they've had. In every single other round, as you said correctly, they haven't been able to get close to the side. Yes, of course, they were on site for CCTV, but still 2 players alive, an evil eye on top of you. They know exactly where you are. There's a nitrocell below you. There's no way you're going to get away with that, right? There's no way that you'll walk away with a round win there. And what actually led me to think about their drone game was when I saw the grenade being tossed in from Doki below, and I saw that there was a drone located right underneath. And I'm like, oh, they just took out a friendly drone. Let's see how many they've left. As Citizen finds his second.
One more.
And back then it was only 4, which right now is a 4v5 in favor of G2. So let's see if they can maybe capitalize on this and find themselves a second round.
Early pick there onto Rafal, who obviously wasted a huge amount of time on the previous round, has been very good at the stretch and pulled a couple of bodies back on rotation. He's been getting himself into this game, and Citizen with a second might start to find the same bit of energy. That's sort of that side that's missing from G2, and the team talk is hopefully going to be a little bit more of that direct drive. Take the fight to BDS. Don't try and do the Shepherd game. Don't try and lose yourself lost in pulling players into pieces. Seems like the mantra of G2 this time. They've gone for that fight, found it. What can they find next?
Just opening up some of these barricades. BDS have been quite adapted, closing everything off that they're not using themselves. Not only because you get some information if those barricades break, but more importantly, it wastes time. They need to open them up. It's either a swing of a sledgehammer or a full magazine to be dumped inside of it. It takes a couple of seconds, and those seconds might eventually be the decisive factor. Alems is receiving a small bit of pressure here. The sledgehammer is starting to open up above him, and thus he starts to rotate back towards some safe ground with a massive ceiling above him, where they're not going to be able to get anything done from above him.
Now, as they try and get themselves opening in a similar fashion as they've done before, they've got the roll of the chance here with the Thatcher instead to get anything inside, but they still also have the fuse. They still also have that utility that can try and pop some pressure down below and remove anything else. Obviously, there's Maestro Cam still on the board. There's the potential for the claws, but at the same time, that's one of those things that's inside about BDS is they never really respond to what their opponents are doing. Sometimes to a fault, is they'll trust that their setups can be ones that push them.
Now, the thing is about the fuse, it's not so much a gadget to kill people. I know that's the first thing people think with the amount of cluster grenades being tossed in, but it's more so about getting rid of utility. They have to be careful there, by the way. And as you see, as those grenades go off, they can go for the cannon over there, for the heart breach charge on the hatch. There's nothing they can do to challenge that, and thus it opens up, and thus there is an entry point.
There it is, but 20 seconds, that's the big risk. Renshiro takes a little bit of damage on the drop of the hatch. The pre-fire comes through, still have the extension into blue. Shaiko's waiting for the pressure from the other hatch, 10 seconds. And Breday's able to find Virtue. The swing around, Piranha goes down, the kit is cold. Right underneath the hatch itself, everybody is starting to fall down to the ground here. It's Doki versus the world. They pulled themselves off, and BDS, they take another round.
Starting to look like a very sad half here for the side of G2, with their hopes and dreams of making it to the major maybe crumbling down. Because again, I'm going to say it, a 7-1 loss is a -6 in round differential, will put them onto the negative. If Rogue win their game, they are positive. LFO, also positive. That way they might actually lose out if Rogue win their game against Heroic, if BDS can lock this in, let's say, the next 4 or 5 rounds.
So G2.
I'm going to double check just to be sure, but
before you put thoughts, well, I say we. If you're wrong, it's you. And
yes.
If you're right, it's the both of us.
All right, so the +8 before this matchup, that is what is currently keeping them above LFO.
So they cannot go negative.
They cannot go negative. However, I believe Rogue was already +3. And LFO is +5. I'm quickly trying to find it to just confirm.
In the same place as always.
There we go. So we have LFO on +5. We have Rogue on +5. If Rogue win, you cannot do that with a negative round differential. So they will always go up to, let's say, They need 3 points to +7. LFO already on +5. G2, them losing, could be with 2 rounds. Could also be, as it currently stands, with a potential of 5 rounds. So they could be going down to somewhere between -3 or, no, not -3, +3 or +6. So it really depends on how badly they lose the game.
Wow. All I can tell you is that currently they're losing it kind of badly. They haven't really been able to get their teeth into BDS here, and BDS are playing very well. It was always going to be a tough fight. There's no question about it. It's not really a similar story to some of the games we talked about before, where it's a team that should have the pace. BDS are BDS. Whether they're in a position where they're behind you or not, you know what they're capable of. You know the game that they could bring and the game that they need to bring it. And so far, they have brunged it. Here they're going to see if they can try and just keep a little bit of a hold here across the top once again, and obviously we saw the attempt with the Monty push that has been pulled off. Instead, a slightly different approach here, and grenade that catches nobody.
Yeah, that's just to try and displace the player that might be out there to hope and go for a cheeky challenge as Virtue is trying to open up. Doki, however, finds Renshiro. That's a good entry frag. Again, G2 will find it. They now just need to translate it into rounds they desperately need.
Shaiko, he's going to go on a bit of an adventure here. That door's still closed, and he's able to pull his way up to the top of the rafters. That allows Rafal to replace himself slightly elsewhere and still keep those discs with a little bit of support now that that's open. They know that they need to reset and set up everything before it becomes a little bit too late. Lounger's going to fall, and it's a wise play of Doki to sort of double-check it, but wiser from Shaiko to get out of there. He's got to make sure that he's still a bit of a rebuff because, well, let's be honest, G2, as I said before, they've struggled with the objective side of things. Getting themselves in, getting that diffuser down hasn't really connected.
Yeah, now they do not have the Monty to get rid of the players inside the rafters. Of course, if you look at it, there is 6 grenades still left in pocket for the side of the G2 players, so they could theoretically still get rid of them, but they need to get into that garage first to do so. And with Rafal and Shaiko both being on opposite sides, they can cover each other whilst they're doing so. So getting these grenades in is going to be very difficult for G2.
Well, Alems finds Alamau, puts it back in. Alems finds one more. Citizen dropped as they pull themselves back in. Doki bites, finds Rafal, isolates Shaiko on the top, but he's still there, and that's the big problem. 30 seconds now, and, well, Doki gets one more. A triple kill once again, and it was the spell that he cast over them to win G2's first round on the opener. Could it be the one that it drives them to their second on the turn of the half here? Shaiko's doing everything he can, bouncing between the window and the breach itself. He knows he's in an isolated position, but the player hops in. Do they know that Shaiko's there? He can't get the angle. They have no idea, and Shaiko wins out one. He runs out of bullets, and Prano locks him in. It's a 2 versus 1 reverse, but the player is underneath. Playday with a C4, not quite used properly. Virtue's holding onto the angle. He misses it. It's a 1 versus 1. Prano, he got the stick, and Playday clutches it out.
He missed the opportunity with the Nitro Cell earlier when he was below, but he manages to find himself back up, finds the first head cleanly, and you see it on Renshiro there. It was close. They should probably not have won that round, but they did, and it is now 5-1, and BDS 2 rounds away from making it to the major, and G2 2 rounds away from potentially losing out of it, depending on how Rogue will be faring in this next matchup. And this is definitely a dark time here for G2. Luckily for them, there is a side swap. They are headed towards the defense. This is where they can, you know, do some step padding. Try and limit the loss that you're about to potentially face. Again, if you bring it back to, let's say, just a 2-round differential, they should still be safe. They should still be locked in. But if it's going to be, let's say, anything more than 3... yeah, 4 I think, depending on the head-to-head. That's going to be the problematic thing here. So they need to get more than 3 rounds. So more than 2 rounds here on the defense.
G2, it's looking pretty dicey, but it's a breath and a moment that really should have been your round. Missteps and those punished moments, but we've sort of seen that a couple of times from G2. You think back to Oregon being punished, you think back to the site before and the before, and it's these moments that really haunt you when you're this close to the finish line. And that French-clad runner is just that little bit sharper, that little bit quicker. Playday is going for the approach here. They're going to try and check. He's sniffing out the sound of the mute jammers to get himself pitched and perfectly angled. That will get the break onto one. Far with the grenade, doesn't quite get the catch onto another.
All right, so they will escape these first grenades without any harm done to them. G2. Doki playing on the Vigil here is looking to go for a bit of aggression here, but it was a drone around the corner, and I'm wondering if it might have spotted a bit of the shoulder of Doki out there. It doesn't seem to be the case, as none of the BDS players are currently acting upon it. Doki as well falling back, so no real threat to either team, at least for now. Virtue as well trying to fall back down to the bottom floor. Alamau to support him. They need to be quick though, because they are within reach to try and actually catch off this massive rotate from G2. All 4 members up on those main stairs. It was only Prano that was on the side.
Well, that's it. They're all back, and you can see Shaiko's trying to meet him at the same point. He had the read that there was a lot of free real estate and tried to get that over the top just to buy himself a couple of seconds on the rotate, realized it doesn't matter, so goes deeper with the other. Citizen kills Doki, and Alems kills Virtue, and Alems kills one more, and he's been on a bit of force here. Citizen at least gets his connection. Congratulations on the 100 kills, but it feels like we're going to say commiserations sooner rather than later. BDS get one more and just need one more.
One more round, whereas G2 need 3 more to potentially, possibly make it to the major. Now, BDS, they have 5 match points. 5 rounds, 5 opportunities for them to make it to Charlotte and go to the major. Again, after a disappointing start, after their 6th Invitational, everybody was looking at them as like, is this the end of BDS? Is this the end of their reign? But for now, it seems like they might be able to, after that disappointing start, climb back into 2nd place and knock out the new super team, as it was dubbed, the new dynasty that was waiting to be built, according to Alamau. And of course, it's only the first stage. These players, they've said they still need to gel together, but you're coming up against BDS, a team that has been struggling, a team that might have been knocked out of major contention by Pones last week. They're about to give you a beating, a 7-1, if you do not start putting rounds on the board right now.
G2, no more timeout. Everything is just what you can play in front of you. BDS sure have been playing it like it's a game that gets them to the major. They know what they want to prove, and they can know they have to. It's the start once again. Shaiko driving himself across the top here. They're going to see if they can try and close down on the map. They were very good at reading the space before. That was something. We almost instantly saw Shaiko putting the pressure here. They've gone with one of those modern offsites here. Citizens waiting for the approach, the ping on the Echo drone, and the reveal of 2 players. Either side, they know that there's a big presence here. With Alamau playing the top of red as well, it's going to take a lot to get him out of here.
Some pressure being set up here. Alamau looking to go for some free fires over to the rafters towards the opened breach where Shaiko is playing. A drone gets tossed in. They need to find the information, and you know, BDS has been a bit more efficient with their drone work compared to G2 on their attack. You see it here, Citizen just struggling. He has been spotted out. The drone is still alive. It's right underneath him as well, and even though the Echo drones try and help and provide some support, it's a grenade that rolls through, gets rid of the barbed wire. Nitro will not hit, will only open up the breach even further for Shaiko to walk through.
They pull back. They get out of there. As more destruction comes through, they realize just how much pressure and how much they were entirely caught out there. Ranchiro was holding the angle to see if he could try and get a slip away, but nothing. Otherwise, they are already long gone. Shaiko's just going to double-check it and get that clarity, but it's that vertical that they want. The control of construction, the extension onto logistics, then they can look towards the stage, the most common plant spot. Alamau's going to see if he can try and get a bit of a return deep underneath them, if he can strike at the right time with all the work still left to do down inside stock on the other side. Well, that's what Alems is starting to do. The width of the floor as they're eyeing up anything on this side. The Maestro Cam and the Banshee both caught by a well-played Flora strip.
Yeah, well placed. So for a second there, I thought it might have not been picking up the Banshee here. Virtue in the garage is in a crucial position to try and stop anything from happening. He's afraid for any of the top floor control right now. Alamau as well, that was looking like he might be going for a flank. Those 2 players, together with, of course, the Yokai drones that might still be in play, could be absolutely crucial here for G2 to pick up these rounds that they so desperately need. Again, I say it, they need to lose 7-4 if they want to get away with a loss here. So they definitely need to start putting up now.
Rafale finds the first. Alamau is gone. The Wamai not going to assist anymore on this. Shaiko's looking for the next fight and just sees the side. Can't quite get the full connection. But in the meantime, everything is connected for BDS on the side. Citizen drops from the G2 heavens, but he's got to do a little bit more than that to answer Carlos's prayers. As Virtue's going to see if he can offer some assistance on the wing on the side. The pre-fire doesn't connect. It's a Rafale Citizen Triple Each. One ends the other in a post-plant. He's got to see if he can find 2 more connections here. The ace to clutch it, not for anything other than to keep them in.
Verticality.
But it is the verticality. Renshiro is the one that signs the final ticket, but all of BDS's player and staff came together. Bon voyage, boys. You're heading to America.
And I believe it's not only this French team that has just qualified, because LFO now has definitely a higher round differential than G2 has, and they also have the head-to-head. So it's 2 French teams that qualified with this 7-1 result right here. And G2 will now be looking towards Heroic to please, for them, win from Rogue. Because if Rogue wins their game as well, it is adios G2, you are not going to the major.
Well, congratulations to the teams that are now confirmed. You fought bitterly, and it came down to the final day, but as an entirely biased E representative, please, go do us well over there. We kind of need it right now. Oh, we're second at SI, but let's see if we can take a first. Before that, though, I feel like we're going to have a little bit of a spicy desk. So we'll go to a quick break before we hear what the big minds of Fresh, Fabian and Milos think about that performance.